Greetings. I am Dorothy Dowling, a principal of DEI Advisors. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to personal empowerment. I am delighted to welcome Bob Sullivan to our DEI Advisor show today. Bob is the Chief Commercial Officer and President of Northstar Travel Group. Bob, welcome. It's truly an honor to have you with us today.
Dorothy, it's great to be here with you.
Wonderful. So let's get to it. Bob, you have dedicated your career to our industry, helping support business development to all of the suppliers across the travel category with the buyer community and developing solutions to really support the industry in telling their stories and ensuring the industry is informed on important industry news. I'm hoping you can share with your journey at Northstar and how you have built this company into a powerful global industry business partner in media, events, and technical solutions.
Well, Dorothy, it's been quite a journey indeed as I look at 3.5 decades of being in the media space. First starting my career at Ziff Davis, where I spent 2 years in their training program, which was a phenomenal experience. Great way to start a career in media. Then moving on to CMP, where I joined Jerry Landris and Michael Leeds, who was the founding father of Business Travel News, to help launch Touring Travel News, a leisure travel retail publication. And CMP was just a wonderful company to be a part of. We had a terrific run with Touring Travel News. We had 25% growth year over year. And in the early 90s, Michael called me into his office and said, "Bob, I've got some news for you. I've just sold the travel group to Miller Freeman." So that was my first experience with mergers and acquisitions. And little did I know there was a lot more of that to come in the course of my career. And he said, "Bob, you're going to have your choice. If you want to stay with CMP, we'd love to have you here. But I want you to meet the gentleman who is acquiring the business from Miller Freeman, which was Tom Kemp, who would go on to be my boss for 20 years over the course of my career." So I made the right move in joining Miller Freeman and going with the acquisition. Quickly moved into a role of leadership at Miller Freeman, where I ran their travel group. From the early 90s to 2000, we grew it to about a $40 million portfolio, combination of Touring Travel News, Business Travel News, meeting news, also events and conferences. In 2000, it was decided by the owners of Miller Freeman that we were going to go to market and sell the business. So that was my next experience with M&A, where I was a part of the leadership team responsible for helping to sell the business. We went through an auction process. The winning bidder was VNU. We sold that business. I believe it closed in October of 2000. And then something unforeseen completely happened to me. I became a merger benefit along with the other senior leaders at Miller Freeman, where we had such a great run. We figured we're all going to be part of the next iteration of growth with the new owner. Well, you know what? They had factored all the senior leadership out. And having had a lot more experience with M&A in the next part of my career, it's understandable how it happens. But here I was early on in my career, father of 5, saying, okay, what am I going to do next? Within literally 2 or 3 days, I got a phone call from Reed Elsevier saying, we've got a job open as publisher of Travel Weekly. Are you interested? Went into discussions with them. And before my last day had come to pass at Miller Freeman, I had already accepted my next role as VP publisher of Travel Weekly. So here I was thinking, okay, one door closes, slammed in your face, right? Because you wanted to go with a business that you helped to build, and now you've got a completely different course. So stepping into Travel Weekly was a great opportunity for me. Travel Weekly had a tremendous heritage, but there was also a lot of work to be done. And Reed Elsevier had told me that when they were hiring, by the way, we're also going to go through a sale process. So here I was, I just finished one. Now I was about to embark on another journey where I knew we were going to get sold, and where would fate take us next? So September of 2001, we sold the business to Boston Venture Group, which was my first experience with PE. And certainly you think back to that time, September of 2001, among the darkest days in the travel industry with September 11th and the impact that was going to have on all of us in how we move forward. So here the deal closes. We have September 11th, which just had an unbelievable impact on our country and certainly the travel industry. Unprecedented times. 5 of our top 10 partners went out of business. Forget going into bankruptcy. They just closed their doors. And we literally had to rebuild the business as we went forward. And we probably did some of the best work in the history of Travel Weekly, navigating it from 9/11 on, where we got to a point where we were back to growth, 20, 25%, 30% of the business. We were launching our digital products and services. We had also embarked on a few of our events, the Leadership Forum at Pebble Beach, as well as the Reader's Choice Awards dinner. And we were getting ready to put the business back out to market again, because with PE, okay, you do your 5 or 6 years and it's time to move on. We go out in 08, 09. We're having great discussions with potential partners. Then the market, financial market, just, and there we were on the other side of the cliff once again. So the process was pulled off the market. We go into another traumatic period for the travel industry. We bring on a new CEO, Mr. Tom Kemp, who was my boss from a previous life at Miller Freeman. One of our new board members at Boston Ventures is no other than Jerry Hobbs, who was the chairman of VNU when he bought Miller Freeman and put his pencil through my name. And we would sit in board meetings and laugh and joke about it and about the opportunities that we had in front of us at Northstar. And that's where we really started to make our move into acquisitions, into events and conferences. And our first acquisition was Cruise World, which we bought for $200,000. We literally closed it on December 31st. I kid you not. And within 6 months, we took that event platform and launched our Cruise World Conference. Over the next period of 4 to 5 years, we acquired Focusrite. We went back in and bought from VNU the travel group titles that we had sold them and brought them back into our family with Business Travel News and the Meetings Group. And it's just amazing to me how in a short period of time, how things can just go 360. And so here we were moving forward. We now had Business Travel News, which was a shell of what it once was. And we were thinking, how do we rebuild this business? And a big part of what was missing was the talent. And that talent had left to go to Pro Media. So Tim Reed, Lou Magliaro, Beth West, and others. And we got into conversations with them. We acquired Pro Media, put the Business Travel News team back together, refortified that brand, and that brand is now back off 200% stronger than what it was at its peak in the early days. And it just was, just an unbelievable ride. So we get to 2012, and it's time for us to go to exit. We sell the Wix Group, another PE group, and their opportunity that they saw for us, let's double down on events and conferences. Let's look to do more in other parts of the world. So we expanded into Asia. We expanded into parts of Europe. We also acquired Focusrite and Mountain Travel Symposium. And Focusrite brought a completely different dimension to Northstar Travel Group because of the research, because of the prestige they had in the marketplace for business intelligence, market intelligence, and because of their iconic event. So we had a great run at Wix. In 2016, we sold to our next PE partner, EagleTree, who we're currently with. And I will tell you, it's even with COVID and another really dark period for the travel industry, EagleTree has been a fantastic partner. And I look at where we were pre-COVID and where we are now. Our business is stronger than ever. And I've had the great fortune of working with great companies, great brand leaders, and great owners over the course of my career. Very, very
Well,
fortunate.
it's a remarkable story, Bob, and there's a couple things that really speak to me. One is that we always speak about the 1 degree of separation in our industry, but just the fact of leadership that you had worked with and had such high regard for you that you were able to maintain and grow those relationships through various journeys on that career path is really a testament to you. But I think it's a lesson for us all in terms of working to make sure that we establish our personal brand in a really positive way, because individuals will cross over our lives on many occasions. And I think the other statement that you made in terms of reassembling the Business Travel News Group, because it is an incredible brand, but it is recognizing that talent is everything. And you being a leader that they had respect, that you were able to engage in those discussions again and bring them back, I think again speaks to your relationship equity and the kind of leader that you have been in this industry in terms of respect and your ability to drive great outcomes. So congratulations. It's an amazing story.
Yeah, I could have never scripted it in a million years.
I am sure. I am sure.
And you
I,
just never know where the next opportunity is going to come from.
you don't. And that's one of the reasons that we always talk about never burning bridges with partners or teammates, because one never knows where our lives will intersect again. So again, a very important lesson. I'm just wondering if we could shift a little bit, because as you were talking about your journey, Northstar has made some very strategic acquisitions during the last several years. And you have always approached in terms of looking very strategically at your business portfolio to how to really create the value proposition, not only for the investors, but obviously for the suppliers and the buyer community that is so dependent on you as a news source. But I'm wondering, as you go through those processes, and you've made a lot of global acquisitions through this journey, as to how you approach those negotiations to make sure that you drive the best outcome for all concerned.
I think the first thing is it's being a strategic fit into where you're looking to go. And will these assets be able to provide value? And that value can come in a lot of different components. Is it talent? Is it market position? Is it products and services? Is it all the above? And I look at an acquisition like BHN, where we acquired BHN, which is one of the leading hotel investment conference groups in the world, owning the Alice Conference, which is the largest hotel investment conference in the world. And I look at how we've taken that business since we acquired it, and we've added on media platforms like Hotel Investment Today and Alice Design Plus, which is a co-located conference which we're launching for the design, architecture, and construction segment of the hotel investment market. And there's just enormous opportunity. And we've also expanded into Australia and New Zealand with an acquisition. And we just see it as such an incredible footprint for growth and opportunity as we go forward. And then you look at other sectors like UK and Europe, and how we've acquired the Centaur travel assets, Cat Media, buying Business Travel News. We now own the Business Travel Show, which is one of the largest global corporate travel conferences in the world. And it's such a great fit with our BTN portfolio, because not only do we have that strong brand presence in North America, but we also have it in Europe with BTN UK, and soon to be expanding in Asia as well, because we see great opportunity. So I think first and foremost, it's that strategic fit. I will tell you, you write up your integration plans, and get ready, because it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride, because what you thought was going to go in one direction might go in another direction. So you've got to be agile. You've got to be a great listener. You've got to be willing to accept great ideas, great products that are coming from the products that you're acquiring, and being able to leverage that to your benefit for your other brands. And there's just some great lessons to be learned. But boy, I'll tell you, they're all different. They all bring their different challenges and opportunities. But boy, we've been really lucky, because we've had a front row seat to some great acquisitions, which have turned into just great brands for Northstar. And as we look at our overall business of providing the travel industry with unique content, market intelligence, and great opportunities to connect with buyers and sellers with our events, conferences, and even virtual events like this.
Well, and I do think that strategic fit is a really important component, because I do think all the adjacencies and spinoffs that you've been able to drive in terms of really making sure that you were able to create the value for all of your different audiences, Bob, has been exceptional. And I do think it has really strengthened your positioning as a premier brand in terms of your ability to really bring all that business intelligence under one roof, and become a go-to source for the travel community. So I appreciate you outlining that whole component of the strategic focal point, and then obviously having a plan and being able to continue to evolve your plan as the market conditions and as you learn.
I'll tell you got to go in with eyes wide open. And I've
Yeah.
learned as much from my colleagues who we've acquired as I think they probably learned from myself and all of Northstar. So
But I think
it's been that great synergistic relationship.
But I think that again speaks to your leadership, Bob, because I think really being able to approach talent on that level playing field and be open to learning from them, as well as imparting learning, is what good leaders do exceptionally well. So congratulations again, because it truly has been, for me, watching from the outside, it has been a brilliant journey. I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit about your private equity investors, because we all know that private equity has very high expectations when they make an investment. You have to have a strong culture of accountability to ensure that you're driving those returns. So I'm just wondering if there's anything you can offer to the audience in terms of how you've approached being able to meet all of those expectations.
I think first and foremost, I look at it, and we've now worked with 3 PE firms. We've been incredibly fortunate to work with great PE companies, tremendous leadership, guidance, insight, value add, which they've provided to us. And I think one of the experiences I've learned, and I've certainly sitting alongside my colleague Tom Kemp, as we've gone through a lot of those meetings, most important is being candid, transparent, what's happening in the businesses, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, and if there's bad news, give it to them right away. If there's good news, celebrate that and share with them as well. And we found that in the best of times, we've had great relationships with our PE partners, and in some of the most challenging times, certainly 9/11, 08, 09, and the COVID period with our PE partners, that they were incredibly supportive. And their capital has just been a game changer for us, whether it be getting through some of those difficult periods, but also looking at acquisitions, new organic launches, And we've been very, very fortunate. And every time we've gone into those difficult environments, we've come out of it as a stronger company with stronger brands and poised for more growth.
Well, I think that really speaks to this whole element of mutual respect, Bob, in terms of recognizing how you both bring value to your business. And I just think the way you have been able to share and be very straightforward and honest about challenges and opportunities have really spoken to the kind of great results you've had with each of your PE partners. So I think that is great advice, because I know that some folks are sometimes nervous when there is a PE investor, because there is that expectation of very high growth numbers and how you're going to get there. But you have done it very admirably across many, and obviously your success speaks for itself.
I'll share with you that, the expectations that the PE firms we have of us, we have of ourselves in terms of producing best in class products, best in class results, in a real pursuit of excellence, where we want to do everything in our power to strengthen our leadership position with our brands and whatever investment that makes. And as certainly they look to growth and the next iteration, as do we. And so it's been very much of a partnership.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, when you get to some of those tough times, you really find out what kind of partner they are. And I will tell you, Eagle Tree, certainly going through COVID, has been a phenomenal partner for us.
Yeah. Well, that is very encouraging, and I do think that using that word partnership and understanding about that mutual value creation is a very powerful tip for all of us to pay attention to when we're working with investors, because they want our success as much as we want our own. And I think you establishing right from the get-go that your pursuit of excellence was always at the top of your list. I'm wondering if you can also tell us a little bit about mentors that may have shaped. I mean, you mentioned several names at the beginning when you were talking about your career journey, but Bob, I'm certain that there's some folks that have really stood out as important in shaping your career.
I think about Ziff Davis and even my early days with the training and how they challenge us just to continue to learn and improve every day. And I think that kind of set a foundation for how you take that through the rest of your career. And certainly for me in my journey, working with Jerry Landrus, who is an incredibly creative mind in the launch of Tour and Travel News, and his ability to come up with new ideas, new concepts, but also working with Michael Leeds and his brilliance and his leadership in launching Business Travel News. But then on to Tom Kemp, who was really a visionary for what we could build out as a travel media information provider. And whether that be with Miller Freeman or in the next iteration with Northstar. And I'll tell you, I'm working with a new CEO now, Jason Young, who's joined us in January. And Jason has brought a whole new lens to our business. He comes from a very different background in media, having worked for Ziff Davis, having worked in technology, having worked in packaged goods. And it's been phenomenal, because it's that information that you can take, you can glean, you can learn from to help make an already very, very strong business and help us to steward and navigate it to the next generation of growth. So I will tell you, as excited as I was to be in this business 37 years ago when I first joined, I'm even more excited today as I look at the opportunities I've had and that Northstar has as we go forward. And why? I think a lot of it's with the people. You work with great talent, you work with great leaders, and you inspire each other to do your best work.
Well, and I think that's extraordinarily well said, Bob, but I think it also speaks to your openness and that learning journey that you said was established in your very early part of your career, to continue to be open and understand that everyone brings value in terms of the growth opportunities that we have to learn from them. So again, thank you for sharing that in such a powerful way. I'm wondering if I can speak a little bit about your team, because you have spoken about talent, and we all know that talent is one of the big conversations today in terms of the success of organizations. But I've always admired how Northstar has had such a strong approach to ensuring that the talent from any acquisition was part of the long-term solution. So I'm wondering again if there are any tips that you had in terms of making sure that you kept the talent as you went through those processes.
I think first and foremost, you celebrate great talent, right?
Mhm.
You want great talent. Any organization that's looking to be high performing, you're looking for that diverse talent that's looking to help push you and lead you to new levels that maybe you weren't even looking at. So bringing in different skill sets, bringing in uh, diverse views, and I'll tell you also, challenging yourself with what I would call cohesive collaboration, where you're having constructive dialogue, which isn't an argument, it's a debate. And it's looking for those opportunities and exploring every cranny of idea for how we can make ourselves better, how we can make ourselves stronger, and how we can leave more of an imprint on the travel industry and do better by our markets and all of our core stakeholders. And, first and foremost with us, you got to be all in. If you're not all in, you can't fake it at Northstar. There's just no way. And I think this goes to even some of the, new colleagues that we hire coming right out of college, that we're looking for individuals who are passionate, committed, driven with a purpose of being the best of what they do. And when you find those individuals, give them the opportunity to grow, give them the nourishment, give them the management attention. And you know what? It's okay if they fail, right? Because that's how they're going to learn. And I look at a lot of our leadership at Northstar and the next generation of leadership. Some of those individuals have been with us for 15 years and they started with us from day one. But because we've provided them with career opportunities for growth, uh, for compensation increases, that they don't need to go to the outside because they can find that growth and those opportunities with a company they love and a category that they love being a part of, which is the travel industry.
Well, I think that was brilliantly said. And I loved your comment about constructive cohesiveness. Bob, when you were speaking about that, that to me is what inclusivity is all about. It's allowing people to bring their point of view and to be able to engage in the right kind of dialogue, that great outcomes come from that. So that was an important message for me. And then the second is really that whole element of allowing people to have a destination career with you and really investing in them so that they can see where their growth opportunities are within the organization, and you support and nurture them. So
And,
those are great tips.
and I will say, as hard as you try to, create all those opportunities, it's never quite perfect.
Right.
Just last week, we announced one of our senior VPs, Anthony Carnival, is going to be moving over to Avis to work with Beth Knurk and her team. The Avis office is 10 minutes away from where he lives. It's a great opportunity for Anthony, and Avis is so incredibly lucky to have a talent like Anthony. And as Anthony takes that next step forward in his career, we know he's going to do great. But we also know at Northstar that we've got colleagues like Alicia Ivanko and Mary Pat Sullivan and many other colleagues who are going to take on responsibilities and continue to grow, as well as others below them that will be able to have new opportunities in their career to grow and do great things. So it
Well,
comes in a lot
yeah.
of different directions.
Well, and I think supporting people sometimes when they do make those decisions to move on, Bob, also speaks to leadership, but then also having that succession plan and that bench strength really does. It's important in terms of really nurturing a company's growth. So thank you for walking us through how you really plan for all of those kinds of opportunities within your talent pool. I'm wondering if we can talk a little bit about work-life balance, because I will tell you, Bob, I've traveled a lot in my career, but I step back and I look at you and the breadth of the portfolio and how you show up, not only at all Northstar events, but at industry events. I don't know that you miss anything. And I know you're a parent of 5 children. I know you now have 2 beautiful grandsons.
Oh, yeah.
But, balance is a conversation that many have. And I'm wondering if there's anything that you can share in terms of how you've really balanced your role as a parent and a partner to your wife.
Well, I should probably bring Kathy in to answer that question, my wife of 37 years. And I think one of the things that she would tell you, that as a strong, independent mother of 5, that having her own space when I travel is a beautiful thing. And I did the math one time, and over the course of my 37 years that we've been married, I've been on the road 15 of those years. So it's pretty amazing. We have 5 adult kids now and 2 grandsons. But, kidding aside with that, there are periods where, like even the month of June, I think I was home maybe 5 or 6 nights this past June, because we were in Europe twice, we were on the West Coast twice, and we just had a ton going on with the business. And those periods happen in the travel industry where you just have those kind of runs where you're going to be on the road a lot, and you can't be in this industry without traveling. And thank God I've got a great wife who's incredibly strong, and she loves her independence. And, all along those periods where I've been on the road, I've done everything I can to support any way I can, whether it's coming home on red eyes or doing my part, because first and foremost, it's about family, right? It's about, living a great life. And that's for myself, but also for all of our colleagues who are part of Northstar and part of the travel industry. We are in the greatest industry in the world in the travel space. And we probably don't get enough of a chance to enjoy it the way we should. And so I would urge everybody, boy, if you're not taking your vacations, take them and enjoy every experience you can have with your family, your friends, because you know what? We are just so privileged to be a part of the travel industry. And keeping that work-life balance, I think, in the travel industry is sometimes a little bit easier, because you can bring your family along for the ride as well. And it all comes full circle.
Well, and again, thank you for sharing that, Bob. One of my personal beliefs is that I've always said choose your partner carefully, because they define your life, and I think you and your wife are wonderful representatives of that. But I also have to commend you, Bob, because you show up, and you show up as a leader at events. But I also know we have a little shared history with our sons being hockey players. And I always admired that you always showed up at the games. So I don't know how, I'm sure a lot of red eyes were involved, but showing up, I think, is such an important lesson for us all, because that is what people take notice of. So I just commend you and thank you for being
Well,
such a wonderful role model.
I've been very lucky to have colleagues and bosses who, when I've been in Lake Placid, New York for an ECAC hockey tournament in college, that they've done conference calls with me, they've done Zoom calls with me, they've worked with me and been flexible with their schedules. And I think that's part of the whole ecosystem, right? As a leadership team and as having a really strong organization. You bend, you learn how to be flexible and work with everybody to ensure a great outcome. And it doesn't all have to be 9 to 5, right? There are ways to navigate this in different paths.
But I think that's a great model for today, Bob, is that flexibility of leadership and allowing people to find those moments with their family. So you've been a role model for many. And again, I just want to thank you, because I think many in the industry have taken note of your presence. And it's something that I have always valued about you. So we're coming up.
You are very kind to say that, Dorothy. And I will tell you, it's been a privilege and something I never take for granted that I've had a front row seat to this industry, and have had the great fortune to work with so many unbelievable partners like yourself and so many in the travel industry. And I think we've worked collaboratively to make each other better. And that's why the travel industry is enjoying some of the best times in the history of the industry right now.
For sure. It's a very special industry in terms of mutual commitment and respect for each other. Um, so we're coming up near the end of the interview, Bob, and we always ask every DEI advisor if there's any closing pieces of advice that they would like to share with the audience in terms of leadership wisdom.
Never stop listening, never stop learning, continue to be agile, and find people who love this business and are passionate about this business, and find that alignment. And you know what? There's a great path forward for everyone. And there's just so many unbelievable opportunities that we all have to touch the travel industry and make this a better industry, that I know it's something that continues to motivate me, especially for the next generation of leadership that comes through. What can we do to help get them ready for that journey so they can meet those challenges and continue to take a great industry and make it even better?
Beautifully said, Bob. So thank you again for taking the time to share your career journey and your wisdom through that journey with all of us today. And if I may, I'd also like to thank our audience and just remind everyone that if you have enjoyed this interview with Bob, I hope you'll please visit us on our website, deiadvisors.org, where you'll see webcasts and podcasts from other industry leaders that will empower your knowledge and fuel your spirit. I hope to see you there. And Bob, thank you again for being part of this interview with us today.
Thank you, Dorothy. Enjoyed our discussion.
Thank you. Bye-bye.